It's L-I-L, man. J-O-E-C-O-C-A-M-O. Holla at me, man. Somebody want y'all to do for me on this one, man. Come on now, say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. Y'all know me, L-I-L-J-O-E, same OG. Back in the club and I've been low key. Pass that drink, pass that weed. To the bar, let's get tipsy. You know Hennessy and ice on me, and I'm gon' get it straight bubbly with the freaks to the top in the VIP. So put them grands up, go on, put your hands up. Cleveland in here, I want everybody to stand up. We been drinking, the beats banging, so man up. And we sweating bad, so gut the cut. Put your hands up, wave side to side. You know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. Oh yeah, she wanna ride with a star tonight. No, she wanna ride with a baller, right? Oh no, she wanna ride with a hustler type. All day, all night, with me, whole life. She wanna drop the top and talk that talk and walk that walk and make girls wanna model. She wanna sip out of Gravy's bottles, ride good out of brand new Tahoes. Oh yeah, 150 on the throttle. Oh yeah, she's bad like hollows. Everywhere she go, they follow. Underneath her clothes is cargo. The riches up, escort go go. The riches up, escort go go. Put your hands up, wave side to side. You know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know me, you know what's going down tonight. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. I say it, put your hands up, wave side to side. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. You know just how it go. You know just how it go. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. Take it to the top, bring it down real slow. You know just how it go. You know just how it go. Come on, girl, get that cash. Come on, girl, get it fast. Make that man spill his glass. Make that man spill that cash. Come on, girl, break that bag. Then ride off in this jag. Make that man give you half. Revoke his ghetto pass. Put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. You know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. If you know what's going down tonight. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. I said, put your hands up, wave side to side. Yeah.
Are you gonna listen to the move?
I've been out the loop since '09.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back to get at that, though.
Check this. I'm at the motherfucking house last night. Guess what the fuck I see?
What you see?
Shamika, what's up?
Fuck you think you fucking with? It's Maxwell, bitch.
Fuck you in them shoes.
Bitch, I'm about to stomp you with these shoes.
I thought I told you to get a jump to Crazy D.
I did give it to Crazy D. You know D, you must have seen money in that. You know he used to produce those nudie DVDs.
Fuck you, thin man. I know you did it.
Don't let your mouth write a check, cause I will take it out on your ass.
Damn, man. You serious?
I don't appreciate being roughed up by men. or should I say male bitches.
Yeah, you gonna work out. And we look for young ladies like you to host them.
I look like somebody that can host your videos.
That's right. So go change, cause we ain't got all day.
Get off for her.
Pretty good, though. What's all that bullshit?
Crazy. What the hell? How you in my room?
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made the curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart,
Listen, welcome to episode 65, 66 of hashtag ObservationTFR by Crazy D with my special guest host, my sister Tanya M. Congress. Let's check out the mics and everything. Make sure all the audio is right. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I am doing okay today on this dreary, rainy day in Cleveland, Ohio. But I'm glad to be with the listening audience today. We were off yesterday, and understand that we always have things brewing, but sometimes it's not always the day to say them, right? So we, as us being spiritual people and led by God within, we always move with that. So we're not under any guns or anybody's, we're not under anybody's thumb to be pressed to do anything a particular way. That's the freedoms of operating in who you are. But today, health-wise, I got me, this is a teacup, but I have my ginger. I have a whole lot of ginger sliced up in here, covered with distilled water. And I have my Gala apple. So it's a smaller one, so I can fit it in this bowl. And so I have that here to snack on. And I have some water. And I'm ready to go. How about you, D? What's going on?
You know, I'm as well as can be expected under the circumstances. We are in the middle of COVID-19 with no cheerleader to pump you up, right? Just a drab time here.
Your hair is different today.
Is it? What's different about it?
Well, you don't have the antennas up and going all around today. You got everything pulled back.
I got everything pulled back. Oh, okay.
Or you cut it. Or it looked like you cut it.
Did I cut?
It looks like you cut it. Wait a minute. I see. Oh, you cut it.
That's right.
It. Oh my God! Look at the change. Now see, woo! Look at the changing.
We got to keep moving. You can't let things hold you. Never hold me. No hairstyle ever holds me. Right?
Come on,
so it's time to change up and get that. Just throw some Vaseline and water and get that wavy tavy back. But anyway, people, I wonder how long it would take you to notice.
I was like, I noticed sometimes on your show with Tracy, you will have it pulled back, and then on the show with me, you always had the antennas going. And then I'm looking hard. I'm like, well, okay, either he has it all pulled back. He got the Tracy look today, I was thinking. Then I'm like, wait a minute. I don't see nothing behind him. I don't see nothing. Then you turned around. Well, thank God for a good grade of hair. Amen. Right? We could do what we want to do. We could pull out. I could take this out and just let mine be all over my head, footloose and fancy free. We could just do it like that.
All right. So back to basics. We're gonna say what's up to Kristen, who has made it over to the YouTube channel, right? So we want to shout out to everyone watching us on Periscope, Vimeo, FB, and the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Make sure you go over there, press the subscribe button. Subscribe. Like, share these videos. We are putting information down. What is the topic for the day? Did I tell you that the phone lines are open? The phone lines are open. 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. If you want to get in on a conversation, use the touch tone, press 1. And we will be indicated. It will indicate to us that you want to be on, and we will have you in the lineup. Here we go. Entertainers, brands, ownership, sacrifice. Observations. Hashtag ObservationTFR, episode 65-66. When did you first learn that you're a brand? Was it when you watched videos of cop abuse towards you? Or was it when you realized wearing someone else's name wasn't pumping your own? Or like Floyd, it does, right? Notice I said that you realized that you were a brand when videos of cops abusing you. When I say you, I mean the greater you, meaning you see black people and you see them being abused. That is a brand of video. It's a brand. It's a brand. Cop abuse towards American blacks is a brand. Guaranteed that people will watch those videos. Guaranteed. Or did you realize when wearing someone else's name wasn't pumping your own? Or like Floyd, it does. Because, Floyd Mayweather, boxer, he does his thing. And wearing other brands only pumps him because they say, wow, I didn't know that Floyd, I've never seen an American black man with this type of clothing on in my whole entire life, right? All right. Oh, yes. We talk about entertainers making their names commodities to create brands, but who owns the brands ultimately? We as Americans discuss brands all of the time. We buy Apple, Microsoft, can't live without Google, and if it wasn't for our Visa cards, what would Christmas really be like? But there is one brand that supersedes them all. It's probably one of your favorite brands. though you relate to it wrong. We discussed this brand today on the show. Do you have stock in this brand? Let's discuss. The phone lines are open. 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. Tanya, what stock do you think that I'm talking about? What brand, what brand do you think that I might be speaking of?
The social, how we are socialized through media. Do we have stock in the media brands that we appear on most? That's how I'm looking at it. Because we're everywhere, but we don't own nothing.
No, that's not it. All right, people, smash the share button, smash the like button. We're getting ready to go somewhere. We're getting ready to go somewhere, and we have to start out with the memes. The memes warm us up to place rubber to the road. So let's start with the memes. All right. Start with some memes, right? Well, you know what? Let's just go into this. Let's go into this because it's ready. It's ready, and we can do the memes later. Here we go, people. The brand that is unmatched. None of these brands up here. Look at Google. Look at Google. All right. Look at Google. Let me read some of these prices for you. Apple, 182.8 billion. Google, 132.1 billion. Microsoft, 104.9 billion. There is a brand that supersedes all of that. It supersedes all of it. And do you have stock in it? It has been undefeated. It is not something that one type of purchase of this outdoes all of those other brands, period. The answer to the question is the Holy Bible. The Holy Bible as a brand. 5 billion copies sold of the Holy Bible as of 1995. 5 billion copies sold of the Holy Bible as of 1995. Now look, it dwarfs the second coming in and the third. 800 million copies of the Quran and 120 million copies sold of the Book of Mormon, dwarfing those people. Now I just said 5 billion sold, right? 5 billion sold. We want to say what's up to a Black Podcast Network. I believe that we're showing on there right now. So we're shouting out to Black Podcast Network. As far as literature, there is no topping the Holy Bible. The brand, the Holy Bible. Does the Holy Bible trade on the stock market? Does the Holy Bible trade on the stock market? Tanya, look that up real quick. Does the Holy Bible trade on the stock market? If so, shouldn't you have stock in the Holy Bible? Smash the share button, smash the like button. We are going places today. We'll come back to the memes on the second half of the show. But this right here, we have to go into this. We have to drill down on this. We are bringing information. Does the Holy Bible trade on the stock market? If so, shouldn't you have stock in it? 5 billion sold. Okay. As she's looking that up, let me tell you this. Take just one. Now remember, I showed you the various companies, right? 182.8 billion Apple. 104.9 billion, Microsoft. Google, 132.1 billion, right? Now, I said 5 billion sold. Now, they're going by money, right? When they're saying their stock, what their stock is worth. Let's take one of the $5 billion sold, or 5 billion sold. Let's take 1 billion of the 5 billion sold. Let's look at the top level Bibles. You have a Bible with a strap, with a leather casing, has the concords and the Bible in it. It slides out. It's for the deacons. It's for the bishops. How much would you say that one of those costs, Tanya? One of those ones where it comes with the bag, the leather bag, it slides out, it's all color the same, has the concords and the information, the breakdown, and the Bible. How much would you say one of those would go? Would they go in the $400 range?
Yes, or a little less than that. It depends on if you get genuine leather or bonded leather. Genuine leather bound is always going to cost more, and with all of that detail, some of it even has gold leafing, and it's actually gold. So yeah, you're looking at around $350, $400 for that.
Okay, so what did I say? Apple is 182.8 billion. Google is 132 point something billion. And Microsoft is 104 point something billion. You just take one of those 5 billion and you add times $400 bishops or deacons ordering this leather satchel. That's $400 billion right there. Nothing touches. That's 400 billion right there. That dwarfs every other brand. It dwarfs every other brand. $400 times 1 billion. This is globally. Bishops and deacons and those who can afford to have the full satchel and all that, and all the detail, the genuine leather. That's $4 billion right there. Dwarfs everything already. There is nothing, there is no brand out there that supersedes the Holy Bible. 400 billion for something like that. Now, what would be the next level down on that, Tanya? Let's take another billion of the 5 billion. What would be the next level down from the full satchel with the concords and the everything? What would be the next level down from that?
That would be a reference Bible that's leather bound. So your reference Bibles has cross references in your margins of the Bible. It's cross references. It also has a concordance in the back of it. It's a limited concordance. It's not exhaustive, but it's limited, and then it has the cross references. And so leather bound, one of those, you're running into the mid hundreds, like somewhere between 100 and 150. You can get that for
$150 times $1 billion. That's $150 billion. Now they're already dwarfing anything. We got to get y'all to really thinking today. We have to stop thinking like runaway slaves, and we have to start thinking like fully realized human beings. Now, what would be the next step down? Let's take another billion. And what would be the next step down from that? And what would be the range of that? That's getting into the 85 to 75, right?
Yep. Bonded leather. It also depends on who put together the Bible. Like, say, let's use Finest Dakes. Dakes was known as a biblical scholar, and he has his own Bibles that he puts together. And the only thing that makes a difference between his and others is the way he cross-references scripture is exhaustive. They come in both leather bound and bonded leather. It comes in large print, small print. It comes in many different forms, including paperback, but bonded leather is your next level down, and you're looking at somewhere between $40 on sale up to $75 for a Dakes Bible.
$75 times 1 billion. That's 75 billion. Do you see where we're going here? The Holy Bible is dwarfing any of these brands. It is the brand that has been unbeatable. Does it, let me ask you, let's take a break right here. Does it trade on the stock market?
It does not. It does not. It is not copyrighted. It is the public domain, so anyone can publish it. But like in the case of what I just said, Finest Dakes, there is, I haven't found it yet, but because if it's a name attached to it as a type of Bible, they can get a trade on that, though I haven't found it yet. But I found something else. Who gets the royalties for the Bible? The British Crown actually owns the copyright to the King James Bible, which has been renewed upon the accession of each succeeding monarch since King James himself. So the Queen, through the auspices of Cambridge University Press, was sending him a bill, according to BBC Music Magazine. So the British Crown owns the copyright to the King James Version of the Bible. King James Version.
Okay, so the next step down before we get to the last, probably more than billion sold, before we get to Gideon, right? What's the next step down, and what is the medium price of that?
About $30 to $50, depending on the name that's on the Bible, who the version is, and all of that. Between $30 and $50 for bonded leather to paperback.
Okay, and then we're talking about Gideon, right? Gideon is probably between 10 and 20. They go into the that's probably where people first get their first taste of the Bible. You know, it is written in the King James Version. It goes for about 10 to 20 bucks in the hotels, and people pick up the Bible. They mostly keep them and they move with them. They come small, they come large, and people buy them accordingly. Let's just say that that's around 10 to 20. 10 on the low end, 20 on the other, right? So let's do some quick calculation here. I'm going to use the 20 for the Gideon here, all right? So we're going to just use the 20 for the Gideon. 14, wow, look at this. 10, 17, 20, 21, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's $715 billion. 5 billion Bibles sold. Various different degrees of how you would like to purchase them is 715 billion and growing. That was 95. That was 95 when the 5 billion was sold. Look at this. That dwarfs anything. Now, tell me this, Tanya. Are any of the companies that publish Bibles, are they on the stock market? That's what we want to know. Are they on the stock market? You see, people, This is the brand that is non-defeated. It will never be defeated as a brand. People can't. So my question is, which I'm glad my sister came in because this was my thinking. How come American blacks don't have a print press with a binding shop to create their own Bibles to distribute out? Maybe they do. I've never heard of it. Maybe they keep it on the down low. Maybe they keep it quiet. But how come black people don't have their own printing press and binding shops to bind their Bibles together? I mean, with our creativity, it can come with CDs and a DVD that, have music. Now, it would be a jump drive. It will have the music and you could have someone speaking it, right? How come we don't have that? And if we do, how come it's not more publicized so people will go out and buy that brand instead of buying the established brands that have nothing to do with American black people? It is the brand that is unstoppable. It dwarfs the second religion, 80 million sold of the Quran, and the Book of Mormon only has sold 120 million by that 95 statistic, right? This and this brand, you are reading it. I believe this. You come at the Holy Bible wrong, and we're going to discuss that. You come to the Holy Bible the wrong way. A lot of times people pick up the Bible to look for their crime and punishment. Let me say it again. Many times people pick up the Holy Bible to find their crime and punishment. The Bible is a beautifully written, especially in the translations today, translating from the Old English, but the Old English was beautiful. I read the Gideon Bible, which was the family Bible at the time, and I read the these and thous when I was 12, right? And it takes a lot to get through these and thous. Okay. These and thous and all that. But now the translations into modern English, beautifully written document either way. Either way, it is a beautifully written document. It is a beautifully written piece of literature, which means that it can be read as literature. Okay, what you got?
This was like going through a needle in a haystack to find anything, but Thomas Nelson Publishers, which is one of the leading publishers of the Bible in different versions, by the way, they are traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, that's Thomas Nelson Publishing, which means that all the other publishers probably are too, traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So it's not the Bible itself, but it's the publishers of the Bible. But this guy, he was caught. The CEO of that company was fined in a stock case because he he violated one of the agency's commandments by manipulating stock. The commission alleged that Sam Moore, the CEO of the company, defrauded investors through end of the day trading that caused them to pay more for the company's shares than they would have, and it gained him a $50,000 civil penalty And here's what it is. The Security Exchange Commission said that only minutes before the company's directors and its investment bankers were to price a $57.5 million stock offering. So that's how much it was going for. I guess it's stock offering per share. 57.5 million, and then he drove it up by $359,375 just before the stock closed. That was in 1995 that happened. And so he got in trouble for it. So yes, the publishing companies that are on the stock exchange. That's good to know.
Okay,
good
so what is their stock exchange symbol? Do you see the symbol? It's usually a 3-letter symbol. Usually a 3-letter symbol for that particular. What's the name of the company again?
Thomas Nelson Publishing. So I'm gonna look that up.
Nelson Publishing. Do you have stock in Thomas Nelson Publishing, people? I mean, you love this Bible. They will never fall unless someone in their organization is shiesty with the money. They will never fall because they publish the Holy Bible. And they have built their publishing company so much that they are now on the stock exchange. Are you trading? Do you have stock in the Thomas Nelson Publishing Company? Also, I want to know, Tanya, does Gideon trade on the stock market? Because that's the biggest. That's the one that's, they may not do the leather bound, but they're constantly producing Bibles, wholesale, right? What we need to know is Gideon, Gideon, is it trading on the stock market? And if so, why don't you have stock in something so much you love so much? It is the stock that will never go down, because there will always be people who didn't read it early that need to read it late. And they will come to it, and they will use it, and they will purchase it. And as they advance in their Christianity, they will then advance up and buy it again, 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 buy it again. Okay. What you got?
Okay. So it looks like their trading symbol is T as in Thomas, N as in Nelson, M as in Matthew.
TNM, and is that on the New York Stock Exchange?
Yep, it's New York Stock Exchange. And you said you want to know if Gideon.
Go ahead.
You want to know if Gideon Bible Publishers are on the New York Stock Exchange.
Now look, people. Now wait a minute. Now the Bible is written in many different languages, all around the world. TNM happens to publish in different languages, but they have to be other companies around the world. So you're looking to get into those markets too and profit from a brand that is undefeatable. This brand, so we have to stop thinking like we just were released off the plantation yesterday. We have to start thinking like fully developed human beings, like what we are, American Black. How many of you knew that the Bible, that the publishing companies were traded on the New York Stock Exchange? Or how many of you knew? Let's go back. Let's go back from off of the trading. How many of you knew? How many of you actually knew that this was a brand? That the Bible, the Holy Bible, is a brand that dwarfs everything else by $715 billion. That was by 1995. 5 billion Bibles sold. We broke down the various type of Bibles. How many of you knew that? How many of you knew that there are over 127 different versions of the Bible, and that even there is a version of the Bible for homosexuals? Did you know that? Did you know that? This is the brand that is unstoppable. How come you don't have stock in the company? Thomas Nelson Publishing, TENM. They got this buried deep in the internet. I mean, it's so deep. It's like all the way down. Yeah. It's like you got to keep searching and searching and searching because they don't want you to know that the companies trade on the New York Stock Exchange. Something that's supposed to be about your salvation. How come you don't have stock in your salvation?
Uh-oh.
No, seriously. How come you don't have stock in your salvation? How come you don't have stock in the very companies that publish your salvation? Uh-oh, they're trying to clip. Uh-oh, we done came with a little too much truth here. They said, wait a minute, this is a little much for the people to get. Right? I mean, just think about this. And you come to the Bible the wrong way. Like I said, you look at the Bible for your crimes and punishment for your crimes, when you should look at the Bible as a piece of well-written literature and well translated from the Old English version of the Bible, right? You should look at it differently and read it, because there are stories in there, buddy. I know people used to going to church on Sunday, and the pastors have to use, or the reverends or the preachers have to use the particular teachings for that Sunday week. And if you live long enough, you'll see, like Dr. Stanley used to be on. Now his son is on. But Dr. Stanley started getting sick. And I don't know if it's a 2-year or 3-year rotation, but the same teachings come back in the rotation. It's to keep you on a perpetual hamster wheel. And he was sick, and they played something from the late 70s, early 80s, where he was teaching the very same teaching that was for that week. Unbelievable. So I don't know if it's a 2 or 3, because to be ordained, you have to follow what the church is teaching. You have to follow that, right? Or you are rogue, you are against what it is. Here's something from the late 70s, early 80s, when he had a comb over and he had a big collar. And he was teaching the very lesson that was supposed to be taught that week from way back there in the late 70s, early 80s into modern time, which was around 2015, I believe, when he started getting ill, right? And how I knew that is because I was in church the following Sunday, and the same teaching was taught by the pastor. Wow. Right? You have to decipher and figure out these things. So why would they keep you on a perpetual hamster wheel to keep you believing one way when you should be reading the document? You should be reading it like a piece of literature as a great English text. And once you have read through the English translation, you should go back and read Othello. The Othello style version, the Shakespeare style version of thee and thou, and enjoy the book. How come you don't have stock in your salvation? Did you find out Gideon, or they got it buried too deep? What's going on?
It's buried. You have things about Gideon's International and who they are. And when you go to Google it and you type in, like I'll put in the Gideon's International, then NYSE, and it'll bring up a link, and I'll have NYSC, but it's NYSE is crossed out. It's a line drawn through it. So, which means that there was once information there regarding NYSE in association, but it's no longer there. It's been erased. So it's not there anymore.
All right. So let's pick up where we left off the other day, because this is very important that you hear these things, right? Do you have stock in TNM, Thomas Nelson Publishing, the one that publishes your salvation? Let's look at Lot and his daughters. Tanya, let's go to Genesis 19:30 through 37. Now, the last we talked about Sodom and Gomorrah. And we talked about how Sodom and Gomorrah was flattened. Uh-oh, I got a warning coming from off of, okay, oh yeah, they're trying to flatten it out. But anyway, look. There was, the Sodom and Gomorrah was flattened. The son-in-laws, for some reason, thought they were being mocked by Lot, which means they were participating. They were switch hitting. They somehow didn't make it out. They weren't there that morning. So the two daughters, Lot reluctantly and his wife, they had the instruction. Lot's wife turns back and is turned to a pillar of salt. So now Lot is distraught. Now see, this is great literature. This is great literature to read. Lot is distraught, and this is where we're going to pick up right here. Genesis 19:30 to 37, if you would, Tanya.
So the descendants of Lot, verse 30. Then Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountains, and his two daughters were with him, for he was afraid to dwell in Zoar. And he and his two daughters dwelt in a cave. Now the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is no man on the earth to come in to us, as is the custom of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, and we may preserve the lineage of our father. So they made their way.
Pause. Whoa, pump the brakes. Avoid the skid. What did they say? Go back. Rewind a couple of sentences. What did they say? Again?
Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the lineage of our father.
Okay, stop right there. Now look. I told you this is some just literature to read. I mean, it's like you think that you wouldn't hear that it's a book about your salvation, and the pastor doesn't want to really go into it because the reverend, the preacher, the bishop, they don't really want to go into it because there's too much to explain. So there is a certain order of what they're going to talk, and they're going to keep. But you was like, wait a minute now. Jesus comes through, David comes through this line where Jesus comes through David's line. Oh man, this is just some stuff. And you know how people be talking about illegitimates and I'm just gonna be blatant here, bastards, and they just talk this yang, right? And they talk incest, and they talk this. But right here, to get to the line that brings you Jesus, as the story is written, we're only writing a story. 2 daughters conspire. This is a conspiracy to get their father intoxicated to the point. Well, let's read on. So pick up right there. Start with what the older tells the younger again, and keep reading.
Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the lineage of our father. Verse 33. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. It happened on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, indeed, I lay with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, and you go in and lie with him, and we may preserve the lineage of our father. Then they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down and when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot were with child by their father. The firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab, and he is the father of the Moabites to this day.
Huh? What you got to say to that? Have you ever read that? Have you ever heard that? Boy, they're trying to clip us. Wow, what is wrong? What is wrong with just talking about the Bible? And we're not even saying nothing bad. Have you ever read that in your whole entire life? When you were in church, did anybody ever tell you that? When the old man was trying to get up your skirt at church, did anybody ever tell you that? Wouldn't that mean, just thinking, how generational, I won't even call it curses, but just passing down from generation to generations to the descendants of the various generations. Wouldn't that be in the blood? Wouldn't that be in the blood, right? So, we're talking about the Moab, right? But we're going to be talking about the Moab again because we're going to go to Ehud. We're going to Ehud, right? We're going to be talking about him. These stories are what great literature is made of. Smash the share button, smash the like button, share, subscribe to the Film Review Live channel because we are bringing. Do you have stock in the book of your salvation? What you got to say so far?
Well, I'm looking at these verses, and it said that they made their father to drink wine. What that indicates is that he didn't know he was drinking it. So they put it in something. They made him to do it. So because it's not that they walked up to him and say, "Here, drink this wine," and he didn't want to drink wine. So he drank the wine. It was probably mixed in with something else as a deception. That deceptive nature of his daughters came from their mother, who we talked about last time, who was perverse, and she was out there with the switch hitting guys too. Though the scripture didn't clearly define that, the fact that she looked back, meaning she was going to miss it. What was there to miss? You was with your husband and with your family. So what was there to miss while you were looking back on it in regret? To look back on something is to look back and regret that you're leaving it behind. So she was perverse as well, and she was out there with the switch hitting guys. So now her daughters are their thinking is off, and they think they're clearly not in relationship with God. They clearly don't have the understanding of God or the honor for God. So they feel they got to keep this lineage up on their own. So they devise their own idea on how to keep this going, and they lay with their father and produce the first one. It's funny that the chapter ends, or verse 37 ends, with saying, "And the firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day." Later on, you will find as you read through the scriptures that the Moabites were a problem. They were an offense to God. They were weird. They were strange. They did all kinds of things that were out of order, and the Moabites had a bad rap. So you see where it was derived from. It was derived from perversion. And so here we go.
However, one does bring about the line of David, which brings about Jesus through David's line. So maybe not the Moabites, right? Speaking of the Moabites, though, let's tie all this up. Let's go to Judges, right? Let's go to Judges, chapter 3, verse 12 through 30. Judges 3, chapter 12 through 30. What my sister talks about them being strange and being a problem. But God uses them to put the Israelites who are disobedient. God puts them under the control of the Moabites, right? So we're going to read this. This is Ehud, Judge, or Ehud, however you want to pronounce it. Judges 3, 12 through 30. If you would. See, what I'm telling you is you're coming to the book wrong, because it is a book of literature. It's better than a 1930s, 40 film noir movie. They always give you the sanctified and the purified, and they bring you Jesus out. Remember those old Jesus movies that would play during the holidays? And when they would bring Jesus out the boat, he would bend his wrist as he was getting out the boat. And I'm just like, what is that? Him bending his wrist as he gets out the boat. Like, I'm like, who was thinking that up? But anyway, Judges, chapter 3, 12 through 30.
Verse 12, "And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord strengthened Eglon, king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. Then he gathered to himself the people of Ammon and Amalek, went and defeated Israel, and took possession of the city of palms. So the children of Israel served Eglon, king of Moab, 18 years. Verse 15. But when the children of Israel cried out to the Lord raised up a deliverer for them, Ehud, the son of Gera, the Benjamite, a left-handed man. By him, the children of Israel sent tribute to Eglon, king of Moab. Now Ehud made himself a dagger. It was double-edged and a cubit in length, and fastened it under his clothes on his right thigh. So he brought the tribute to Eglon, king of Moab. Now Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had finished presenting the tribute, he sent away the people who had carried the tribute. But he himself turned back from the stone images that were at Gilgal and said, I have a secret message for you, O king. He said, keep silence, and all who attended him went out from him. Verse 20. So Ehud came to him. Now he was sitting upstairs in his cool private chamber. Then Ehud said, I have a message from God for you. So he arose from his seat. Then Ehud reached with his left hand, took the dagger from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. Even the hilt went in after the blade. Wow. And the fat closed over the blade, for he did not draw the dagger out of his belly, and his entrails came out. That means his guts came out. Then Ehud went out through the porch and shut the doors of the upper room behind him and locked them. Verse 24, when he had gone out, Eglon's servants came to look, and to their surprise, the doors of the upper room were locked. So they said, he is probably attending to his needs in the cool chamber. So they waited till they were embarrassed, and still he had not opened the door of the upper room. Therefore they took the key and opened them, and there was their master fallen dead on the floor. Verse 26, but Ehud had escaped while they delayed and passed beyond the stone images and escaped to Seirah. And it happened when he arrived that he blew the trumpet in the mountains of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went out down with him from the mountains, and he led them. Then he said to them, follow me, for the Lord has delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. So they went down after him, seized the fords of the Jordan leading to Moab, and did not allow anyone to cross over. And at that time they killed about 10,000 men of Moab, all stout men of valor. Not a man escaped. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest for 80 years.
The entrails are the upper, lower intestines, the bowel. So when he cut him open, shat came out along with the upper, lower intestines, kind of like chitlins, hog maw, chitlins, came out. So they thought he was using the bathroom because it smelt like shat. You got to read this stuff. You're coming to it from a different, I believe that you're coming from it from a wrong direction. You're looking for the Bible for your crimes and your punishment, when really you should read it as a fine piece of literature. By the way, do you have stock in Thomas Nelson Publishing? TNM? Do you? I'm just wondering. You should have stock in your salvation. You should have stock in your salvation. One more time. You should have stock in your salvation. You see these stories. Have you ever heard the story of Ehud? Ehud and the Moabite or Moabite king. Have you ever heard that story? Have you ever heard that story read? These are the type of stories that you are missing because you're coming to it, oh, this is only something I need if I need to save my soul. There's a whole litany of stories in there that have moral and some immoral and moral endings, but it tells you something that you can apply in life by just looking around. Could that happen? Does that happen? Have I seen that happen? You should read this as a great piece of literature. You know, when you get to the law things like Leviticus, you know, you can bypass it. That's long. You bypass it until you go back to study it as a crime and punishment book. But to read the stories that go on, Judges, incredible stories within Judges. The book of Ruth, incredible stories in the book of Ruth. Just great literature to read. It is the brand that is unbeatable. Even Snoop did a gospel album. You know, he did a gospel album because his grandmother was big and a deaconess, I believe, in the church. And it is the brand that is unbeatable. It dwarfs all of these brands up there. And you know what happens? All of these brands have a copy of the Bible within them. You can access it. It is the most used brand on the planet. It is unstoppable. Why don't you have stock in something that will never go down? Because there's always more saints buying the book. There's always more sinners buying the book. There's always people who are just curious buying the book. Get you some stock in time. We're going to try to find some of the others. They got this stuff. They trying to clip me. What's going on? Dang, all I'm doing is talking about the Holy Bible. Thomas Nelson Publishing. On the stock exchange is TN. T as in Tom, M as in Nelson, M as in Mary. How come you don't have stock in your salvation, huh? You look at entertainers. They do everything that they can to become a commodity so that they can build a brand. Once they build their brand, it's about them having ownership. We have not definitively found the owner, except for the King James Version of the Bible, which is Gideon, which means that somewhere that's being traded, and we got to find it. It might be on the English stock exchange because there's different stock exchanges, right? Different times of day. One shuts down, day is coming, and then people are trading on the international stock exchange or the English stock exchange or the Chinese stock exchange or the Indian stock exchange, right? Whatever that would be called, right? And then they even there's a guy who has a commercial out here talking about sin and Jesus is your salvation, which means that somewhere there is stock in that Bible that they're reading from. Right? So how come you don't have stock in that on all the different exchanges globally in the Holy Bible? The book of your salvation. How come you don't have stock in your salvation? Other people do. Fully recognized human beings have stock in their salvation. How come you don't? Even if you get with one of those apps and you only get a piece of a stock. How come you don't have a piece of a stock? So when the stock market goes up and it's going up, and especially with this COVID, the Bible is going to be bought more and more. What about the digital transfer of the Bible onto Google, onto Apple, onto Microsoft? Those are licensed, automatic people hit it, there's a license. You're going to get a piece of that stock, and it's going to constantly go up. With this COVID, people are going to fall to what they have been programmed to fall to build themselves and say, oh yes, Lord Jesus, my salvation. They will read the book, and they will purchase the book, and new parishioners, new possible ministers, new deacons, new bishops, etc., will be built from off of this time right here. It's the stock. It is the brand that is unstoppable. Unstoppable. What you got to say? Then we're going to get to some memes here.
What's interesting is I hit the jackpot in publishers. I found them responsible for 52 different alternative versions of the Bible. You have Word Search Corporation. You have Zondervan, which is another main one, Zondervan. You have Concordant. You have the American Bible Society. You have World Bible Translation Center. You have Crossway Books. Baker Publishing Group. Broadman and Holman, Holman. A.J. Holman Company. Baker Book House. Let's see what else here. We have Lockman Foundation, Lockman. Biblical Studies Press. Toll Lege Press. That's Tolle, then capital Lege, then press. You got Hendrickson Publishers. You have Oxford University Press. You have Durrie, Durrie, and Peck. Doubleday Publishers. Tyndale House Publishers, another big one. Tyndale House Publishers. National Council of Churches. Associated Publishers and Authors Incorporated. NAV Press, NAVPRESS. Shekinah Enterprises, SHEKINAH Enterprises. I think I said the American Bible Society already. And then there is Erdman's Publishing Company. And also, let's get on the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's an erroneous version, but we can go on and get some stock in it. Watchtower Bible and Tract Society.
You see, we have to begin to think like fully formed and developed human beings, and not like just getting off the plantation yesterday. How come you don't have, look at all these different companies. Matter of fact, we're going to compile this list and probably, be able to post it up on both pages so that you can have it, so you can go do your research. Or maybe we might do the research and find where they're trading on the NASDAQ, or where they're trading in other international stock exchanges, right? So that you can get stock in your salvation. See, this is the brand that dwarfs all of the other brands, right? This is the brand that dwarfs all of the other brands. We've got a 314 on the line. Let's see, 314. And they do want to speak. So let's bring them in. 314, are you on the line? 314.
Hey, how you brothers doing today?
How you doing, Mr. P? I haven't heard from you in a while. It's a brother and a sister. Yeah.
Okay, I've been listening to you mostly.
Oh, okay.
Hey, you know, you make some rare points about the Bible. And, you know, the New Testament, the Old Testament, it was the people that wrote the New Testament that called the Old Testament old. Because if you wrote something first, you wouldn't call it old and nothing else around. And also, the Yah of the Old Testament was the God of the Yahwehians, who were breakaway Cushites, spelled with a K. If you look at 2 Kings 19 and 35, you see where the Cushites came out of the northern Sudan area, marched 1,200 miles to fight against the Assyrians, who was led by Sennacherib. When the Assyrians was coming down on Jerusalem, Yah was a local god of no importance. It existed before Judaism, which turned into Christianism, which springs Islam. Now, if you go to Deuteronomy 7, 3-4, in King James Version, it reads, "You shall not intermarry with them, giving your daughters to their sons, or taking their daughters for your sons. For they would turn your sons from following me to serve other gods. Then the anger of the Lord will be kindled against you, and he will destroy you quickly." Deuteronomy 73, "You shall not intermarry with them, giving your daughters to their sons, or taking their daughters for your sons." Now, let me ask you a question. Who do you think who they're talking to or talking about?
I don't know.
And you know it says, "Do not go the ways. Do not go the ways of the north," too. You care to guess?
You know what? I'm going to leave it to you to inform us, because mine is more on getting stuck in it, not who they're talking about. So go ahead. So I'll leave it to you to.
That's a good reply.
Go ahead.
That's a good reply. The Cushites is in upper, what you would call, the borders at Upper Egypt. Then you got Lower Egypt, which is Egypt. Actually, it was Kemet. Now, it wasn't talking about Europeans, because there was none at that time. They was talking about people that were mixed. The god of the Cushites was Amun. The god of Egypt was Ra. Namr tried to combine those two together to join forces, but they didn't want to, because they had a whole different perspective. Amun forbid mixed marriages. That's why they didn't want to have anything to do with them. I'll give you, you can look at this some other time. I don't know if you ever heard of Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut was a pharaoh. She was a queen. She was a female. And Amun was tired of mixed marriages, so he impregnated her mother, and she had an immaculate conception. Amun, the god of the Cushites, wanted a pure solar child. Getting interested, isn't it? Now, let me say something else. Societies then was ethnocentric. In other words, you don't marry into those societies. And we know that there was many gods, because man created God, And every ethnic group had their own god. The Egyptians had theirs, Amun, and also Ra. The Cushites was Amun, the Egyptians was Ra. Sennacheribs was Ashura. And you know, it goes on and on and on. Now, let's bring this up to modern times. Now, I can't speak on other ethnic groups, you know, in other parts of the world, but I sure can speak on West Africa. In West Africa today, the Ashanti is in Ghana. The Ashanti Henny, Osei Tutu, is the king of the Ashantis. You cannot become an Ashanti if you are mixed. And we ain't talking about black and white, we talking about other ethnic groups, whether it's Afanti, whether it's Fulani, whether it's Ewe, like my wife. Jerry Rawlings was the president of Ghana. He just passed away here not too long ago, maybe a few weeks. He was the president, the national president of Ghana, but he could not become a king, a paramount king. He surely couldn't become an Ashanti because he was mixed. He had a Ghanaian mother. Matter of fact, she passed away before he did. And his father was Scottish. So to become a king in those countries, I know for sure in Ghana, it's probably the same in others too, especially in Nigeria. You got to be pure blood. You cannot be mixed. That's why when I get in arguments with black Americans, I say, you are not the Cushites. You could have been the Egyptians because the Egyptians was mixed. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with it, but that's just the way it is. That's the way people roll, even during those times. Because in a war, now this war between the Assyrians and the Cushites happened around 701 BC. As I said before, if the Cushites didn't come to help fight off the Assyrians, who was trying to destroy Jerusalem and destroy everything about it, including Yahweh, there wouldn't have been a Judaism, because Judaism springs out of Yahwehism. It wouldn't have been no Judaism, it wouldn't have been no Christianity, it wouldn't have been no Christianity, it wouldn't have been no Islam. Anyway, I think I gave you guys enough.
You know, I thank you for calling in, because, you know, we were talking about, all of us were talking about each other. We haven't heard from Mr. P. Hope everything is all right.
Yeah, just think about that.
Yeah, but
I spent about 7 to 9 years. Going in and out of tombs and pyramids in Egypt, all the way down to what's called a Hadi Wafa, where we were digging around in people's garbage, because that's what archaeologists and paleontologists do. They look at people's garbage and their graves in order to determine things. And some of those spots date back to 65,000 years ago, based on dating. But people don't talk about that. They go back so far within the bounds of the Bible. We're going back further to what's called the Shattat Neder, where you get many of the principles of today's religions. Tenets is taken from, like the Father, the Son, and the child. Christianity took the mother out and replaced it with a Holy Ghost. You got God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Took the woman out. But that's what they wanted to do. Constantine, that's what they wanted to do. Anyway, I'll let you guys go on. I'll talk to you later.
All right, talk to you again. So people, look, that was Mr. P, Mr. Panaki. He does his thing. He calls in and gives us information. We were just talking about him. It's like, we haven't heard from Mr. P. You know, good to hear from him. You know, he gave information. And it proves even more that you should have stock in the Holy Bible, because the Holy Bible is the brand that is unstoppable. Speaking of that, you know, that was interesting that he talked about the Holy Spirit. Do I have it up here? Is this one it? as we start the memes here, let me see if I can find them. Anyway, we're just going order. Let's start with the memes now. Okay. All right, people. Speaking of people believing, all right. So let's start with this meme right here. A Zoom Thanksgiving is better than an ICU Christmas. A Zoom Thanksgiving is better than an ICU Christmas. So we'll keep moving there. This next one is pretty interesting here. This is a mentality thing. Smash the share button, smash the like button. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Here we go. 1 minute, I might drop some knowledge. Next minute, I might tell a joke. And at the last minute, I might curse a mother out. 1 minute, I might drop some knowledge. Next minute, I might tell a joke. And at the last minute, I might curse a mother out. It's interesting. Using Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog looks a little bloated. He must have had some fillers put in. All right. So this one right here is, I think, one of the most hilarious ones. And it tells a certain truth. This is absolutely true, and it has to do with responsibility. So there is a prophylactic and a mask sitting on a bench, and the prophylactic says they don't want to put you on either. They don't want to put you on either. Nope. And then the mask says nope. They're trying to clip. I don't understand. Why are they trying to clip? It's just a meme. Damn. Trying to. Man, wow. I'm hearing this break in the sound and everything. Okay, it's back to perfect streaming. They don't want to put you on either, huh? And then the mask says nope. So it's a meme of responsibility or lack of responsibility. People don't want to put on the prophylactic like they don't want to put on the mask. I thought that was good. Here we go. This one is interesting. Make your weird light shine bright so the other weirdos know where to find you. Make your weird light shine bright so the other weirdos know where to find you. Interesting. Yeah, that one is. You know. So we go through. Do y'all have stock in your salvation? I'm just trying to see something. Do you have stock in your salvation? After he cheated on her with 8 different women, he just found out she had lunch with a male coworker. He fainted. He fainted once he found out that she had lunch with a male coworker. I thought that was hilarious. I said,
What's up with his hair, though?
That's a hat. It's a hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this one right here. The black sheep of the family is usually the most woke and the one telling the truth. The black sheep of the family is usually the most woke and the one telling the truth. Telling uncomfortable truths. I wouldn't say woke, I would say aware. There's an awareness, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one that's very interesting and came from off of international situations, right? Nigeria government plans to only buy locally assembled cars. Nigeria government plans to only buy locally assembled cars. Do you have stock? Remember we talked about commodities and international and people trading on your love of Africa. And we said, do you have stock in Africa? Right? Do you have stock in Africa? Because, you know, good or bad, you can still profit. Still have a nice portfolio to pass on to your children. All right, here's another. May people with pure intentions find people with pure intentions. May people with pure intentions find people with pure intentions. It's a affirming prayer, right? It's an ask. It's an ask of a larger being. Okay, so right here. Here's another. Don't think about what can happen in a month. Don't think about what can happen in a year. Just focus on the 24 hours in front of you and do what you can to get closer to where you want to be. They're clipping me. They're trying to clip me over this. Don't think about what can happen in a month. Don't think about what can happen in a year. Just focus on the 24 hours in front of you and do what you can to get closer to where you want to be. I had to get these affirming memes during these times of COVID because we cannot dwell on what's happening. Now, people,
there's a scripture for that.
Okay. Go ahead.
The scripture for that is Matthew 6:34. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. So mind your business. Mind what you got to do today. What you do today is going to affect tomorrow. So how you skipping past today, thinking of tomorrow when you're not doing the things in the day that are going to affect tomorrow. Y'all get that. You go back and listen to it a couple of times.
Okay. Speaking of a person who owns their own facility, their own grow facility that has their own brand, I want to shout out to Larry Smith. He has G5 cultivation, right? For those who partake, I don't partake, but for those who do, you should have this in your repertoire of smokes. If you don't, if you're not calling for it in your area or your region, I don't know what you're doing. It's a not black run, but black owned company, American black owned company, right? G5 cultivators for those who believe in the smoke. All right. So here's a question for you, Tanya. This is a question for you. Let's see which one. Okay, go right here. That'd be good. All right. So, which rapper turned actor is better acting than rapping? Which rapper turned actor is better at acting than rapping? First is 50, second is LL, third is Ja Rule, fourth is Common, fifth is Will Smith, and sixth is Eminem.
Wow. Better at acting than rapping. That's because I'm trying to eliminate my personal taste in their rap style out of it. And just talk about skill or think about skill. Wow, that's difficult. I mean, I'm gonna say this not because I'll say 50.
Say what? Okay. My choice is number 6, Eminem. Way better actor to me than he is a MC. You know, I just, the acting wasn't that good either. But, to me, he should have stuck to acting instead of MCing. That's me. Okay, people. So one of Joe Biden's cabinet people. Let's say hello to U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas Greenfield. And why do I bring Linda Thomas Greenfield up? Because she had her remarks. He introduced each people. He introduced 6 the other day, including John Kerry, who are in his cabinet. And she got up and she was talking about gumbo. And she said a phrase about gumbo that everyone picked up on, right? You have to research it. Go watch it. You'll see. But there is a chuckle that comes from Joe Biden. It's a chuckle or a laugh that is not, how Dave Chappelle said that he was doing a certain skit and one of the white PAs were there and they started to laugh, and it wasn't a laugh like I'm with you on the joke, but a laugh at like laughing at you within the joke. Laughing at you, not laughing at the meaning of the joke that you want, but laughing at it in a racist way. And the way Biden chuckled about this, I said, that's a laugh of ridicule and a laugh of, but the media, of course, is going to spin it the way they want it. But she talked about gumbo. And he laughed, and I said, oh, I cringed. I said, oh, man, that's one of those type of laughs. But, she's the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, right? Now, here's one from LL. He uses an artsy piece. So I have to lean forward and read it. Notice this it looks to appear to be between the Mona Lisa eyes. Could be someone else, but it's supposed to be on the wall, and it says, you got to figure out what it is you want, and you got to go get it. LL. You got to figure out what you want, and you got to go get it. LL Cool J. I thought that was pretty interesting name there. Do you have stop in your salvation? You just have to keep asking. Okay, here's one that's interesting. Remember Ricky Schroeder?
Mm-hmm.
Silver spoons. Are you ready for this, people? Ricky Schroeder donated $150K to get accused murderer Kyle Rittenhouse released on bail, as reported by TMZ. Ricky Schroeder, Silver Spoons, donated $150K to get accused murderer Kyle Rittenhouse released on bail. How about that? Ricky Schroeder, did he put all that money together, or was it a group that put a consortium that put the money together to get him out of jail? Anyway, it was white on white crime, so it's not like it really concerns American black people, other than the fact that other people who do white on black crime will possibly be able to be released when people bundle their money together. The Star Report. Star says, salute to people in the projects who make six figures and have no desire to live amongst white people nor fight with them to be accepted. Hashtag hood life, real hashtag Black Lives Matter. Salute to people in the projects who make six figures and have no desire to live amongst white people nor fight with them to be accepted. Hashtag hood life, hashtag Black Lives Matter. You know, Terrain comes from mixed lineage as well. So when people of mixed lineage really tell you that they don't really want to have anything to do with you should really heed, as people who may not come from mixed lineage, you should really heed what they are telling you. Okay, here's one. Now, remember Dr. Fauci? Remember when Trump came out and he was saying that the vaccine was going to be out, would have been out before the election, but they're playing politics, the Pfizer, so it's going to be after the election. And Dr. Fauci came on and said he doesn't seem like that's going to be true, like Donald Trump is dealing with a little hyperbole. Well, like Dr. Fauci has been known to do all throughout this process, he has changed his tune. Now he says, Dr. Fauci says, vaccine skeptics pose a serious threat to public health. Dr. Fauci says, vaccine skeptics pose a serious threat to public health. All of a sudden he's with it. You know, the Gates Foundation and all that. And we played the video before where Gates was just stumbling and didn't know how to answer the questions. Now, this is the last meme, and someone has written what they wanted to say about it, about what it meant. So we're going to read this, right? But then I want you to look at it, Tanya, and what would be your tagline for this particular meme right here? Now, the guy is in Walgreens. He's a black guy. He's butt naked. He's down by the registers, by the long walkway, riding the bike, headed towards the door. And the person who made this meme said, "These edibles ain't snit." 10 minutes later. So what would your tagline for this be?
I seen this meme before and I looked at it. It just really made no sense to me whatsoever. Of course, it's probably photoshopped. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna force nothing because I don't know what to say about that. I looked at it. It looks the same way to me today as it did then. It's one of those things that I would look at and just be like, like my grandmother used to do. It's like, what can you say about that? He's riding naked in a Walmart and he's headed towards the door. But you know, I could come up with a whole lot of scenarios for that, but I don't know what to say about it. I just don't.
When I saw it, I said, I gotta get this bike. I gotta get through this door. This bike is for my daughter. It's a Christmas gift. This is a Christmas gift for my daughter. They're gonna move out my way. So when the whole implication of the thing is he got naked because he knows that no one's gonna grab him necessarily. I'm gonna get through the checker at the door. I'm getting out of here with this bike because this is a Christmas gift for my daughter. You know, and don't ever stop a black man who might or might not have been irresponsible, most likely irresponsible. Don't stop him from doing something for his daughter. I'm gonna do something for my daughter. I do something for my daughter. I gotta get the bike out the door, and their daughter. They're not gonna stop me. I'm gonna get out this front door with this bike, because this is a gift for my daughter, because that is a female bike, right? And so I said, oh yeah. I said, so he's getting this for his daughter. And he said he figured the best way to do it was to be butt naked, get a full head of steam up, riding the bike out the door like he was at the Tour de France. He said, I'm getting this gift, this Christmas gift for my daughter. For my daughter. COVID and all, I'm getting it for my daughter. Right. People, look. Do you have stock in your salvation? Do you? That's what we ask today. We ask as we come through. We had a robust show today. You know, entertainers, brands, ownership. We still haven't figured out who owns the Bible, but somewhere in the end, someone owns everything that doesn't have anything to do with the original person who owned it.
Well, here's my speculation.
If it has longevity, it lives on. But question is not who owns it, but do you have stock in the companies that print it, that are on the stock exchange? Do you? I mean, you just got to ask yourself some questions. You need to come into the 21st century a fully developed and realized human being, and not thinking like we just got off the plantation yesterday and it's just what it is what it is. What it appears to be most times is not. We got 20 minutes, you got 10.
My thing is, when the Bible was, well, the 66 books, which is the Bible, we know that there were books left out of the Bible, so they wouldn't be considered the Bible because they were never part of the Bible. They were not part of the canon that was assembled by the Council of Nicaea with Constantine and that council. They came up with those 66. But because they compiled that document, and that was at the headship, like, you know how we talk about the Illuminati here, or the 5 or 13, whichever one you subscribe to, the 5 or 13 families that run the world or whatnot. Well, there was a family in Rome at the time that was pulling the strings of the Emperor Constantine, which prompted meeting to put together that document. So it would stand to reason to me that a lot of the finances ultimately from that would be going back to Rome. There's a whole lot of reasons why they're as rich as they are. And if they were getting that kind of bank in association with everything else that they have under their belt, investments and stuff like that, if they were getting that kind of bank off the sale of scripture, then that would explain a lot of things. I would think that it has no copyright. It says it's no copyright on it, which presents another issue for me, because I'm thinking about it. This is all good stuff right here. So if there's no copyright, then there's nothing to stop copyright infringement if there is no copyright. So it can be changed and switched around and made to say several different things because there is no copyright. So nobody owns what was written, even though in Revelations 22:19 says that you are not to add nor take away one jot or one tittle of what was written. Still, we know that mankind is corrupt and there is no copyright. If there is no copyright, it doesn't fall under any law. So it can be made to say, and which it has been. This is why we got all these different versions. We got NIV version, which is completely removed some scriptures, and the one to which a lot of the homosexual community subscribes to. And then there's another one that's going to come out. There's the new NIV. And so it keeps on changing according to how man wants to live. It keeps on changing. We keep some basic morals and basic tenets in there, but then there's these little alterations that can give a little slip or a little inroads into the way we want to live. That's saying something. So the scripture itself says, the letter killeth, but the spirit gives life. This is why a lot of people can name Bible chapter and verse. What the Bible say is the Bible, Romans chapter 11, verse 5 says this and this and this. But you can name the Bible chapter and verse and not live any of it. You can name the Bible chapter and verse and put people under rulership and under a certain mindset with the things that you keep quoting from the Bible. The masters did it with slavery. The things that they quoted out of the book, though misinterpreted, it says the letter killeth, but the spirit gives life. So you can use that Bible, the words of that Bible, to kill, or you can use the words of that Bible to bring forth life. And the only difference between the two is who has been your teacher. If God is allowed to dwell on the inside of you and allowed to reside, and you yield your member, whoever you yield your members to is who you servants to obey, your members, mind, body, spirit. Whoever you yield your members to, you are servants to obey. So if you yield your members to righteousness, you will serve righteousness. If you yield your members to unrighteousness, you'll serve unrighteousness. Through that same book, the letter killeth, but the spirit gives life. And the difference between the two is who you yield your members to. Where do you put your mind? Where do you yield your body to? Where do you yield your spirit to? And that's getting into the makeup of a person. The makeup of a person. There are people, the Bible says that Judas was preordained to his end. He was preordained to betray Jesus. He was preordained to evil. He was preordained. So be thankful. If you are born into this earth and your tendencies are always towards righteousness, you were preordained to that destination. Where, there's a doctrine of predestination too. They take it off the deep end with some other stuff, but you are preordained to righteousness or unrighteousness. Be thankful. If your mind is I don't take it for granted that my tendencies since a child has always been towards, I don't like injustice. I don't like bullies. I don't like anything that looks like it's unfair. I don't like any unfairness. And I've been that way. I was born that way. Be thankful. If your predisposition is towards righteousness, don't take it for granted, because some people were put here to be a challenge. They were put here to be evil, so that the systems of checks and balances balanced out. And what's a trip about that is a lot of people who are involved in the very religion of Christianity are predisposed and preordained towards bringing evil to the environment. Evil to it. So you better know who you are and what you are, and you better, in this time, it's time to make decisions. It's time to be on either the straight way or the broad way, and be proud. If you predisposed to wickedness, don't hide it. Just be wicked. I mean, what? What's the thing? Be loud and proud, strong and wrong. If that's what you want to be. Be strong. If you're going to be strong and wrong, be strong and wrong. Don't be a jellyback about it. Be strong about whatever you're going to be. You're going to do things behind the back, and you're going to talk about people. You're going to try to trip people up. You're going to set up people. You're going to be that type of person. Just say, hey, I'm this type of person. I might set you up. So if you're on the side of righteousness, you might not want to deal with me because I got a predisposition of setting people up. Then you let that person decide. For real. Come on. It sounds funny, but it's true. Come on.
Just let that sit for a minute. Listen. The anything goes Generation X brings us to this. Show 2 and 3. Entertainers, brands, ownership, sacrifice. We've been sacrificing a lot over the years to be a brand. And we alluded to that in the writing. Like, when did you realize that you were a brand? When you saw someone that looked like you on the cop abuse videos? That is a brand. Not as lucrative as the brand that we talk today, but that is a brand that is almost as unstoppable as the brand. Not as lucrative though, but people will watch those videos over and over and over and over and over again. When did you determine that you were a brand? Question is, do you own that brand? Someone should be out there to, well, anyway, that's another story. You have to figure this out for yourselves. Use context clues. When did you learn that you were a brand, and do you own your brand? Can you be like Floyd Mayweather and wear other brands because your brand is so solidified that when you wear another brand that usually American blacks don't wear, they say, dang, Floyd Mayweather, former boxer, promoter extraordinaire Floyd Mayweather is wearing this. I've never seen an American black wear this, or wear the combination of this together. Look at all these brands that trade on the stock exchange. Visa. Do you have stock in Visa? You know you're gonna run up debt during Christmas. You're gonna be irresponsible and say I have to pay it later. How come you don't have stock in it? Did you know that Visa just went skyrocket up? You need to check it. You need to get you some stock. Gotta get you some stock. Gotta get you some stock in what seems to be on oppressed to you. You will then get a return on that oppress. Let's start thinking different. Gotta get stock in Google. Gotta get stock in Apple. Gotta get stock in Microsoft. If the Melinda and Gates, the Gates Foundation, are getting ready to release a virus that they wouldn't even have their children take. Everybody should say, everybody involved should take it first. And we go 6 months to a year, and then we see what it is. Or 3 months. We'll know what it is. You start vomiting. They say vomiting, then you'll know that something's wrong. Did you know that they said there will be side effects against this? The CNN released a report. You should have it on your phone. We get the news blotter on our phone. That's what they used to call it back in the day. And I just read the stories. There will be side effects to this. They've already said it. If you're going to suffer, you should have stock in the company that's going to make you suffer. At least you get something out of it, something to pass on to the children who may not be affected by the virus. The virus. Well, anyway, the vaccine. They may be affected less adversely by the vaccine than you. You have something to leave in the portfolio.
No.
Right? But look at all this. Look at all these. Look at all these different brands. HP. Love the HP computers. I love them. I love it. You ain't got no stock in that? But all of these are dwarfed by the success of the brand that will never fail, that will never die. That is the Holy Bible. And do you have stock? We're going to tally that list together of different publishers, right? How many publishers was that? About 25 or 30? When you were reading them all, was it about 25 or 30 different publishers of the Holy Bible?
It's like, well, it's 52 Bible versions. So within those, you had ones that were multiple publishers of some of these different things. So we're looking at about maybe 15.
Okay, 15 different ones, including, where is it? Where's it on the paper? Including Thomas Nelson Publishing on the New York Stock Exchange. It's TNM. That's how it trades. This will never go down. It just so happens that it dips buy low, because when the people start kicking off from the COVID-19 vaccine, this is going to shoot up. He said God's will. It was God's will. And they're going to find verses in the Bible that support that being God's will. Yes. And that means that the Bible will sell more. It will sell more. The more that it's taken from the hotels, that's a cost leader. That's a cost expense that's already built in. They already have so many Bibles they bought to put in. Automatically more Bibles sold. More Bibles sold. $715 billion, 1995. 5 billion sold. 715 billion by our calculations dwarfs all of this. You don't have stock in it. You have to, and just on another level, literature-wise, you should be reading the Bible, literature-wise. Just great literature, the great translations that they did from these and thous to English translation. You should be reading it. Matter of fact, the way that the version that my sister read of Ehud, there's another version that gets more graphic, depending on what Bible that was. If it's a NLV,
that was the New King James. That was a New King James.
That was a New King James version. But there are many different versions, and there are some that get more. They say his bowel slammed out to the floor, and it stank like horse manure or something. They go into more detail. It's what's my Bible? The Bible I have. What is it? I gotta see what type of Bible it is. That's where I read it. I read it in here, and it talked about it smelling like bowel, it smelling like pig. I mean, yeah, it really went down. What kind is?
Was that the Living Bible? The Living Bible?
The Holy Bible, New King Version. Oh no, this is by Thomas Nelson, 1982. There it is. So that's part of the TNM. Okay. It says all rights reserved, printed in Colombia. So there's no copyright, but there's all rights reserved. Anywho, you should have stock in that. You should have stock in the Bible. You have stock in the Holy Bible. Listen, people. This has been another robust episode of #ObservationTFR. We were so proud to bring this episode to you today. Episodes 2 and 3, parts 2 and 3, episodes 65 and 66. We hope that we continue to bring topics and discussions that are thought-provoking. We like to thank Mr. P for calling up. We were concerned about Mr. P. We hadn't heard from him in a while. And glad that he called up to give his information about where the Bible derives from. Heard that before, and that's possibly so, but got to get stuck in the Holy Bible, because in the end, that's what's going to see you through, and you got returns coming from off of it, stock returns coming off of it. You will see a pretty great portfolio when you get into the various different stock exchanges around the world. Every now and then we do these stock shows. This is like third or fourth in a series of stock shows. Probably put them all together, but you need to start thinking advanced. You have to advance your thinking. So again, this has been a robust episode of TFR Podcast live that's Sundays at 8:30. It was at 5:30 p.m., 8:30 Pacific. This has been another robust episode of #ObservationsTFR by Crazy D, featuring my sister, my special guest, Tanya M. Congress, and we will see you again tomorrow with another thought-provoking show, part 4 of the Anything Goes. Generation X brings us to this part 4.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made the curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart,